Michael J. with the opinion. So anyways, I've been posting a few videos lately, and it seems like the conservative pundits are pushing back because of my videos. Now, I did ask a few, what'd you have for breakfast this morning? I don't know. No pun intended. So here we go. I'm going to shed a different light on the issue. Number one being that no matter how you slice this, the Conservative Party of Canada and the Republicans in the United States have two bags of tricks: tax cuts and free markets. It's not going to serve you. It does not serve you. Last video, I posted a budget for the GOP in the States. Big budget. To give you an idea how the numbers work. If you paid attention, you'd understand that. But we're here again. So I'm going to bring to your attention a new guy. Why am I bringing this new guy to your attention? Because Pierre Poilievre, today is February the 16th, Pierre Poilievre did a rally in Ottawa on February the 15th, and everybody is gaga over that. They think it's great. Just another friggin' day of slogans, another day of promises, but no policy. Not even he didn't even bring up the tax breaks and free markets, because that's all he's got to deal with the problems. Nothing else. So here's the first guy. The 11/8 podcast. Poilievre stands for Canada while Carney brags about being a globalist. Now, one of the interesting things about this gentleman, he loves Pierre Poilievre. He loves the Conservative Party. And for some reason, towards the end of the video, I'm only just going to show a little bit of the video because I'm going to put a link in the description and you can watch the whole thing. I've seen the whole thing. He mentions later in the video, towards the end, that Mark Carney is a billionaire. Well, I wish these guys would do some fact-finding, or maybe I heard it wrong. So you can watch the video and find out for yourself, if need be. But understand, Mark Carney's net worth is only about $5 million. But anyway, without further ado, we're going to listen to this guy for a minute.
What a spectacle yesterday was. It starts off with a tremendous address from Pierre Poilievre on Flag Day to rebrand and relaunch the Conservative campaign as we move into likely an election season upcoming here soon. Delivered with power, energy, excitement, and a vision that people can.
One of the things you're going to notice is very much edited. You can tell just by watching it.
Get behind. It was something to behold. Then follow that up with one of the craziest, most anticipated games in about at least 10 years. Canada USA, best on best, political tensions.
Well, there you go. Can't take much more than that. You can watch the whole thing. The link will be in the description. So where am I going to go to next? Well, he mentioned about Brookfield. And it's been mentioned by other conservative shills or people of distinction, if shills offends you, that Brookfield Properties does business in the States. Well, Brookfield Properties, Brookfield Asset Management, for correct purposes here, is a global company. And if anybody understands or knows anything about Canadian finance or business in Canada, prior to 1960, about 1959, Edper, big company by the two Brofman brothers, Peter and Edward, I believe. Peter and Edward? I got it close. But anyways, then they became Brascan. I had a relative that worked for Brascan or under the Brofman family there in Brazil at one point in time. So understand that. Now, everybody thinks that Mark Carney is not the man for the job. Even though he's a globalist, Bank of Canada, he's not a career politician, though. He's not a career politician like Mr. Poilievre. Mr. Poilievre, let's bring up Mr. Poilievre. What do we got here with Mr. Poilievre? Okay, here we go.
3 different presidents. Remember, he had Obama, Trump, and Biden. What has happened? $450 billion of our investment money has poured out of Canada into the United States. We used to get more U.S. investment from them than they got from us.
Meanwhile, when you switch the channel, let's get that converter, switch the channel, apparently the U.S., based on Trump's assertions, it changes a lot, but at one point he said we subsidized the Canadians to $216 billion. You're thinking, what? Guy doesn't understand trade deficits. He thinks he's loaning Canada money, but he doesn't get that. He's on his McKinley kick with these tariffs. But meanwhile, Mr. Pierre says, whoa, look at what we're giving away. Meanwhile, if we're running as Mr. Trump has represented a $216 billion in a year trade deficit, then whatever investment we've made over the course of all these prime ministers, he mentioned presidents of the United States. He mentioned 3 presidents of the United States, and each one of them have a 4-year term. That's 12 years. Now, if it was $216 billion a year, that's a return. Your return on that is $2.5 trillion. Where's the math coming from here, Pierre? Come on now. Where is the math coming from? You want $400 billion and you're going to give up the $2.5 trillion that you put in your pocket? You hear me, folks? He wants $400+ billion. He says we're being ripped off. It's funny, this is the same playbook as Trump's using to justify the tariffs. He's being ripped off. His country's being ripped off, and they need to be rich again. Do you see a pattern here? So now he says, we need to put that $400 billion in our pockets. Meanwhile, you received, based on what you've said, and if we can take $216 billion over that 12 years, let's prorate it. You understand what prorating things are? A pro rata basis? Let's do it at $100 billion. So we end up with $1.5 trillion. We're still $1.1 trillion ahead. So you need 400 and change billion you want to put in your pocket. This is what you're justifying here, that you're the man for it. But meanwhile, you would have received 1.1 trillion. So Is 1.1 trillion better in your pocket, or is 400 and some odd billion better in your pocket? This is what people don't get. Just listen to it again yourself.
Us. And now that is reversed. $500 billion of our investment dollars building mines, pipelines, businesses that pay American workers. I want our money back. So my number one priority, whether it's Harris or Trump, is one, to drive a hard bargain with Washington on softwood lumber and on Buy America. After 9 years of Trudeau with 3 different presidents, remember he had Obama, Trump, and Harris, Biden. What has happened? $450 billion of our investment money has poured out of Canada into the United States. We used to get more.
So 450 billion's poured out. You got 1.1 trillion back minimum. Could have been anywhere between 1.1 trillion to 2.5 trillion. Dude, the math's off here, guys. But nobody actually looks at it from that point of view. So this video was done about 3 months ago. And what do we have here? What are the comments saying here? Give some to get some. Can we shut down Service Canada too? Are they going to build the companies? Seymour Hirsch? I have no idea what that is. So there you go. Here's one guy who says, don't let them bring our water into any agreements. Right. Making great Canada. Making Canada great again? Yikes. Pierre for PM. Take it easy, Pierre. USA here. Tell it, Pierre. USA here. We get a lot of US people here. They really like this guy. Reminds them of Trump. It's Trump. Love it. Here you go. It's Trump. Love it. Send Trudeau to jail. Just like send Clinton to jail. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton's husband, Bill Clinton, had a $90 billion surplus in the United States. The only U.S. president over the last 40 years that's had a surplus. He had a $90 billion surplus. Next conservative government, which was the Republicans, blew that out the window. More tax cuts and do a war. Let's do a war. Let's do a war. As an American, I like him. Reinforce the border. Build your military and make a strong northern ally. What is this insecurity? The real issue is Russia. Meanwhile, Trump is a bedfellow with Russia. He's trying to say he's willing to take money to provide security. Meanwhile, his word's good for nothing on everything, it seems. The free trade agreement got redone under his name. He said it was a great deal. Used Kuzmak. And now here he is back in the saddle again, and he's doing tariffs, which is a breach of the trade agreements. And he says we've been ripped off. And they're his deals. The deal maker, you gotta love him. The deal maker. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't he a good guy? Okay, so Pierre, you had your moment in the sun there. So let's deal with who is Pierre? Who is this guy Pierre you speak of? Well, that's a good question. No, not that one. Let's get the proper... Oh, here we go. This is what I wanted. Okay. So let's look at Mr. Pierre. Let's go back to our screen here. Back to Mr. Pierre. Okay, this is Wikipedia, so not everything is 100% accurate. It might be 98% accurate, but not, I'm just saying for all intents and purposes, a lot of it is accurate. So Pierre Poilievre, he was born in Calgary, Alberta. And guess what? He's been a career politician all his life. Canadian Alliance Party. Now, if any of you know the Canadian Alliance Party, that came after the Reform Party. And here's what happened. Here's where, before we get there. And then Mr. Poilievre had parliamentary secretary post, it's right here, under Prime Minister Stephen Harper. Now, who is this Stephen Harper? He had posts from 2006 to 2013. Understand, in 2011, the Harper government neutered the Canadian border, took security away from them. He wanted to save money. So he pared back security along the western border, Canadian border. Yeah, Stephen Harper did that. Okay? So who is this Stephen Harper guy? Well, Stephen Harper was a result of, you had Preston Manning, Reform Party, then you had the Canadian Alliance, and then you had Stockwell Day, and then somehow in that far western alliance, Stephen Harper came into play. Brian Mulroney, who was a conservative, had a good run, but then when, the party tanked, it tanked, and, it just seems like every Canadian political party after 10 years tanks. So there was a crossroads here. Now, Stephen Harper met up with a guy by Peter MacKay. Peter MacKay from the East Coast of Canada, well known in the Progressive Conservative Party of Canada. The Progressive Conservative Party of Canada, this is the party that of Diefenbaker, Brian Mulroney. So what happened was, because of the Reform and the Canadian Alliance movement, Stockwell Day was going to be the leader originally, but he got caught ski boarding and just being acting like Trump, but Trump can get, Trump's not going to do any ski boarding. But in this day and age, you can get away with everything. You can be a criminal and become president of the United States of America. You can have mob connections and become president of the United States of America. You finally had JFK files opened up just recently. Today is February 18th or 19th? Might be the 18th, we'll see. But nonetheless, if you ever look at any of the JFK files, you realize there was mob connections that murdered him. Simple as that. Nothing more, nothing less. So, nonetheless, Stephen Harper became the solid guy because he's an economist. Actually was from Toronto, East York, Toronto, but has a presence out in Alberta to this day. As a matter of fact, to this day, under Danielle Smith. You gotta wonder what's going on with that government now. And this is why Scott Moe, which is Saskatchewan, and Danielle Smith, Alberta, why we have a bit of a splinter in our Team Canada approach to deal with the Trump tariffs. So anyway, Stephen Harper did a deal with Peter MacKay. Peter MacKay would be deputy prime minister. Stephen Harper won the election. And then Stephen Harper just friggin' did what Doug Ford said Trump did to Canada. Didn't yank it in, but he placed the shiv in. So that's what happened to Peter MacKay, and that's why he left politics. There you go. So the early life of Pierre Poilievre. Looks like he grew up in Alberta for the most part. But I think his cabinet seat, first cabinet seat and member of parliament, was in Ottawa, Nepean. So anyways, he grew up in Alberta. Always worked Conservative Party, or, well, not necessarily conservative, but, through that vein. You had the Wild Rose Party, you had the Reform Party, you had the Canadian Alliance Party. And that's where Poilievre worked. That's where he worked. So he got adopted at a young age. And his adoptive parents, and that's how he came up with the Poilievre name, split when he was in his mid-teens. His father, Donald, in that adoptive family, later came out as a gay man, and so maybe this is why, there's only two genders, male and female. So I shouldn't really be going there, but this is the history, just so you know. History, other jobs, he worked for Magna. So he's been a career politician his whole life. His whole life he's been a career politician. So one of his early partners in that was this guy, Jonathan Davis. Early partner with young Pierre Poilievre. This guy was a Canadian politician and lawyer, Attorney General, Minister of Justice for the province of Alberta. So maybe this is where that influence comes, because if you watch the Jordan B. Peterson interview with Pierre Poilievre not too long ago, Poilievre says, I'm a prosecutor. And that's all he is. He's an attack dog. He's just like a terrier on a pant leg. Simple as that. So anyways, this is Jonathan Dennis. Sorry, Jonathan, I might have said Davis, but Dennis was his partner in the early days. So let's get rid of that. We don't need that anymore. Now, oh boy, what is that there? No, we're not going to go here yet. We're not going to go here yet. But we're going to get there very, very soon, because that's really, really, really important for you to understand how things go. Because I had one guy comment, wow, Trudeau in 10 years, you really don't know what's going on around this world. It's more than 10 years, and there's more to the bigger picture. You get caught in putting your blinders on and just seeing things, and you don't see anything. You just get caught up in the hype. Don't get into any facts or anything like that, which is rather unfortunate. So let's look at here the Toronto Sun. Gotta love this. The Toronto Sun. Now, this guy Brian Lilly, with what is it? He's Batra's the main pivot woman that runs this Toronto Sun now. And surprisingly enough, Stephen Ledrew, Stephen, you've lost your way. If you need help, just call me up. You used to know my phone number. So Lilly unleashed here. Who does he have to bring in to discuss Mark Carney? Let's see.
Is it a facade or a real? Hi, I'm Brian Lilly, political columnist for the Toronto Sun. Mark Carney has a stellar reputation with Canada's media elites. They truly seem to love the man, and it looks like he is going to be appointed to be the next Prime Minister of Canada. The Liberal Party will select him as their leader, and that will de facto make him the next Prime Minister. Now, I've said many times, I've talked to Mark Carney. I've questioned him when he was Bank of Canada governor. He's a smart man. He's an accomplished man. But what do his policies mean, and where do they lead? Talked about that elsewhere, but what about this track record, this idea that you hear about on places like The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, where Carney appeared, saying that Carney helped save two economies? Is that true? Well, Carney seems to get a pass from Canada's media, not so with the British media, where he earned nicknames like the unreliable boyfriend or the nickname Mark Carnage. There are plenty of people willing to say that Carney...
Do you see a pattern here between Poilievre, Carbon tax Carney, carbon tax Trudeau, carbon tax this, carbon tax that, carbon tax that. Guess what? My carbon footprint is so small, I'm actually in a positive cash flow situation with a carbon tax rebate. Can you believe that? Who would have thunk? But through all this gerrymandering, it's become such a bad thing that people think it's bad. Don't care about the planet. Just Jasper, burn yourself down. California, burn yourself down. Let's wait another 10 years and burn half the country down. You know, take care of what takes care of you. Country's got everything you need. The planet's got everything you need. Take care of what takes care of you.
He is not the man that Canada should be taking to lead them, not based on any dislike for the man, but based on what his policies led to. Liz Truss, the former British Prime Minister, former Treasury
Truss.
Secretary, and former Environment Minister and Foreign Minister, worked with Carney over the years. And in an interview from Calgary, she told me Canadians should be taking a pass. Ms. Truss, thanks for your time. Tell us, you crossed paths with Mark Carney at a few points when he was bank governor and you held various positions.
Okay, enough of this nonsense. I'll put a link there for you to watch the rest of it as well. I've watched it. Doesn't synergistically work for me. It might for you if you're into the conservative, what do we call that? The conservative pipeline. Hey, that's a new word, pipeline. You're in the conservative pipeline. You got to wake up, folks. Conservatives only have tax cuts, free markets, deregulation, and free markets have created a rental property situation that's out of whack. Properties are way too much. You cannot rent a single person cannot rent a property because of corporate purchasing, corporate software to price fix, to get the prices up, that the average guy can't afford it. Costs are way out. There is a fix to it. You're not going to hear it from anybody right now. But nonetheless, isn't that a good word? Let's go to the main screen now. Now, here's where I was earlier. IDU, Independent Democratic Union. Is that what it is? Oh, International Democracy Union. International Democracy Union. Let's go to members. Member parties around the world. Yikes. Look at this. This blue and the dark blue, that is the Independent Democracy Union. That's conservatives and Republicans around the world. Let's look at the legend here. Member parties in government are the dark one. There's the U.S., Alaska. Look at that. Now the lighter blue, parties that are not in government. Just so you know. Now, let's look at leadership. Who's the leadership of this? You're seeing this in real time. Are you kidding me? The Right Honorable Stephen Harper. There you go. The Right Honorable Stephen Harper. Honorary Chairman, Lord Ashcroft. Assistant Chairman. Do you notice something here, folks? So you think just, oh, wow, government for a few years. You know, there's long established things around this world that go back to the conquest and the conqueror that prevailed up to 2016 that you just don't understand because you cannot connect the dots. It's beyond your understanding. All you think about is the price of eggs yesterday, and that's how Trump got into power. Meanwhile, look at what the price of eggs are in the States. And then they say, well, bird flu. No kidding. And then how they deal with the avian flu in the States. So there's, over $10 a carton for a dozen eggs. At least in Canada, we have regulation, and this is where the governments want to get rid of regulation, want to open up these free markets. Now, here's another thing. You notice who the treasurer is? Republican Party of the USA. Do you hear me? Republican Party of the USA. Now, what you need to understand was, right at the beginning, Stephen Harper's chairman. Stephen Harper, Canada, Alberta, working under the Danielle Smith government right now, helping her. And they've got some real issues with corruption there in Alberta right now. But here you are, Republican Party. Republican Party got taken over by the MAGA party of Donald Trump. Make America Great Again. You've seen in the comments there, Make Canada Great Again for Pierre Poilievre. So there you go. Republican Party. All these big hitters. Chairman, Right Honorable Stephen Harper. Now let's look at the advisory board here. Now we're going a little deeper here. This might be beyond. Former Prime Minister of Australia. Former Prime Minister of Spain. David Cameron, who I know, he got caught up in the, Paradise Papers. You had the Panama Papers in Panama. That's where Russian money was being money laundered. Guy by Trump helped out. I know the guy that put Trump with Yeltsin Putin. So David Cameron, he got caught, had to resign. So you had the Panama Papers, Paradise Papers in the UK, and then you had the Pandora Papers in Canada. All that was money laundering through money laundering for Yeltsin Putin and Colombian drug cartels, and I think maybe the Mexican cartels as well. So look at the pattern here. Here you see President of Croatia, New Zealand, Australia, Slovenia, United Kingdom, Boris Johnson, New Zealand again, Theresa May, UK, Chancellor of Austria. Yikes, that reminds me of 1930 to 33 friggin' days of the Hanovers. The Chancellor. Guy by the name of Adolf Sol. Prime Minister of Australia, President of Ukraine. Now here's interesting. President of Ukraine, Poroshenko. Zelensky took over from Poroshenko. You got this Ukrainian war. Trump's in bed with Putin. The Ukrainians are going to get screwed over. Europe is wide open to being attacked by Putin if he gets Ukraine and strengthens. He's going to want more power. It's just power. Power greed. That's all it is. But Poroshenko was an oligarch. There's another oligarch. But one thing about him, he did have a little bit of an allegiance to Ukraine. But his pocketbook first. Almost as rich as Silvio Berlusconi, that was Berlusconi. I'm screwing up his name. Of the Italy politician that ran Italy for a long time. Very corrupt. So here, let's do this. Let's look at this. What do you not know about this guy? Did I didn't bring it up here. Damn. Okay, so here's the thing you got to know about this Poroshenko. This is where nobody's getting it. There was a Yakashenko. We got some toxins. Maybe I do have it. Let's Let's see if I can pull it up. Let's see if I can find it, monsieur. Is it here anywhere? Honorary Advisory Board. Dang. No, I don't have it here. But anyways, I'm going to bring up Mark Carney for a second, so you can see Mark Carney again. Okay, so here. This is why it's important, and this is why this guy might be the best guy for us right now. You got to make your own decisions, use your own discernment. But the Progressive Conservative Party and the politicians, their tax breaks, free markets aren't going to do it. We need something more. So this will give you a bit idea about the early life education, private sector, Goldman Sachs, Anthony Scaramucci from the States, Goldman Sachs individual as well. So public sector roles, Bank of Canada, 2008 to 2013. Prime Minister Stephen Harper brought him in to be Bank of Canada. Helped steer us through the financial disaster that was that wreaked havoc on the world. That was because of mismanagement and deregulation in the United States financial system. So he got through that, and he was the governor of Bank of England for 7 years as well. And that's what people do not understand. So at least know about that. So I wonder if there's, net worth further down here. Yeah, so here, net worth estimated about $5 million. The other guy in that first video is going to say he's a billionaire, but no, his net worth's only about $5 million. I thought for sure. So anyways, to go back to Poroshenko and Ukraine, between 2014 is when Crimea got overtaken by Putin. There was a guy that was the president of Ukraine at that time that was being handled by a guy by the name of Paul Manafort. Paul Manafort was the campaign manager for President Trump, term 1, Trump 1.0, in 2016. Ended up being put in jail by Mueller because, guess what? The Russian hoax was not a hoax. But that's going to be a topic for another story. So here's the deal. You just do not realize how deep this goes. And it's as simple as that. You just look at the map. The guy that's running it, Stephen Harper. So if you really think that this world has not been influenced by this IDU, yikes, I better put back to the, I'm on the wrong screen. Remember, these are the members of this IDU. It's worldwide. Stephen Harper runs it. Pierre Poilievre was under Stephen Harper. It's as simple as that. You've got this Brian Lilly of the Toronto Sun using Liz Truss, but Liz Truss, this girl's got a bit of a conflict of interest, so, she's just there with the rest of them. Right there. Now, the interesting thing about her, how long do you think she was Prime Minister of the United Kingdom? After Theresa May and Boris Johnson, how long do you think she was Prime Minister? Or in about that time, 2022 was her tenure. 49 days. 49 days. Do I have any more on her? No, I don't. I don't. So, I'm just going to leave it at that, folks. So there you go. You can have a lot of people trying to say, oh, well, this guy's changed his ways, rah, 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 Mr. Canada, Poilievre. The only thing, when it all gets back down, after you get through those rah, 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 and your adrenaline's going and you're all hyped up and you can't think for yourself, what's going to work for you? The tax cuts, not going to work for you. More free markets, not going to work for you. You really need to figure out the things that do work for you. We got to get through this tariff situation with the USA and Trump, and that's where we need to pivot in a different direction. We just can't just bash heads with the United States. We've got to diversify, open new markets, and take a different direction. So questions, comments, throw in chat. Let me know what you think. Use discernment at all times. And when in doubt, sleep on it. Do what my buddies do. Ciao for now.